Huge news in the world of football, and specifically as it relates to Liverpool Football Clubs, as it's been reported, Hugo Ekitike could be on his way to Anfield to play for the Reds in the upcoming 25-26 season. Now, obviously, this is huge news, but it's also coming on the heels of a lot of news and conversations surrounding Alexander Isak, as the Newcastle forward obviously has been linked with the Reds for quite some time. And there's been a whole saga as it relates to both Isak and Ekitike, as well as Newcastle and Liverpool. And to break down the saga, as it's been reported by the likes of David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, it would appear as though while Liverpool have been extremely interested in Alexander Isak, an alternative option since the beginning of the transfer window has been Hugo Ekitike, with the Frankfurt forward obviously being what I would describe as the second option for Liverpool in this transfer window. Obviously, Alexander Isak was our number one option, with him being Premier League proven, but it's been noted by Newcastle since the beginning of the transfer window that they had no intention of selling Alexander Isak. Things went absolutely wild, however, when it was reported by Romano and Ornstein that allegedly Newcastle went in for a bid of Hugo Ekitike for, I believe it was approximately £70 million, which was rejected by Frankfurt. Why this was so interesting is because it's no secret why clubs are interested in both Isak and Ekitike. They have a very, very similar style of play. Big, tall forwards, kind of lanky, quick, can run at defenders and find spaces in behind the back four. However, it seemed a little odd that Newcastle would be in for a player that fit such a similar profile as Alexander Isak. And following the notice of this bid getting turned down from Frankfurt, it was reported that Liverpool have had a club-to-club interaction with Newcastle, reportedly stating that if Newcastle were going to step into the Ekitike race, that Liverpool were interested in Alexander Isak. If Alexander Isak was not available, they would be joining the race for Hugo Ekitike. Now, since this has happened, Newcastle have reportedly said that they are completely out of the Ekitike race, and Liverpool have heightened their approach and reportedly have put a bid in for the player as well. I think this was a very, very interesting motive or move from both Newcastle and Liverpool. I think that this was very calculated from both sides. I think Newcastle made a bid in for Hugo Ekitike in an effort to essentially expedite the process with what was going to happen with Alexander Isak. Clearly, if Alexander Isak is not going to make a move to Liverpool Football Club, there's no issue for Newcastle. But if he is, I think Newcastle want to get ahead of it and make that move happen now so they have the remainder of the transfer window to replace Isak. However, on the flip side of things, Liverpool obviously were a little stunned by the bid from Newcastle for Ekitike, because if they have both Isak and Ekitike, that's the two forward targets that Liverpool wanted for this transfer window. I think if I was to guess, based on the current information that we have, I believe Alexander Isak will remain at Newcastle United, and I believe Liverpool will eventually secure the Ekitike deal from Frankfurt. Just adding on another huge transfer from Arne Slot and Liverpool Football Club this year. This is, as a lifelong Liverpool fan, I have never seen us move like this. I'll be honest. I've never seen us in a single transfer window look to make this sheer amount of changes to the club, and all of which were, if you were to ask most Liverpool fans, have been improvements in areas that are necessary. I think if we are to secure another center forward, the only other area of the pitch that I think we should make improvements on would be at a center back. Obviously, there's been reports that Konate could leave. We've already lost Jarell Quansah to Leverkusen, and Mark Gahey has been sort of on the table for Liverpool for quite some time now, at least in this transfer window. When it comes to Ekitike, I think I've already discussed just simply how the player profile is. He's quick, can get in behind players. I think it's no secret that both Liverpool and Newcastle wanted similar playing styles. They have that Alexander Isak playing style. Both Ekitike and Isak obviously having a very, very similar style of play. And I think Liverpool eventually got to the point where they realized Alexander Isak will probably be not going to Liverpool this transfer window. And if that's the case, they need to make improvements in the striker position immediately. I think a big aspect of the fact that we're going to be looking to sign another striker is what is the future holding for Darwin Nunez. Obviously, earlier in the transfer window, Nunez had a lot of interest from Napoli, who have reportedly said that they are out of the Darwin Nunez race, and there has been other reports that the likes of Saudi Arabian clubs are interested in Nunez. I think we'll just have to wait and see on that. If I'm being entirely honest, I do think Darwin will be at the club going into the next season. I just feel as though it's almost understood between Nunez and the club that he won't be a starter at this point. Obviously, I think if he can go to a club and get guaranteed first-team football immediately as a starter, I think he'll try to do that. But I think for right now, if I was the people surrounding Darwin Nunez, I think, obviously this Ekitike kid is coming in, but he's not Premier League proven. He's going to have to prove himself along with Darwin Nunez still has to prove himself to get that starting spot. So I think that would be almost what I would describe as a healthy battle to try to get that. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do we think we will sign Ekitike? Is the Alexander Isak story completely done at this point? Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that notification bell as well so you know every time I make a new video. Thank you all for your support. See you on the next video. Peace.